In the first part of our conversation, we talked about, as you all heard, just about everything that was anything. In the second portion of our talk, we really focused, quite honestly, on some of the personal aspects of our own wellness and well being journey as it relates to being two folks who've lived through divorce. And it was all kinds of truths coming up in there. So take what you need, discard what you don't need, but take a listen to this conversation and really pay attention to the questions that he poses toward the end. Okay, so Anthony, you talked a bit about the role that healthy pride played in your healing, especially when you were in that dark place when you wrote that piece. Could you talk a bit? Because I'm always saying when you're a poet, love is a bona fide job requirement, right?
Yep.
So one of the dark places you and I talked about was the dark place of divorce, right? The dark learning place of divorce. Could you talk a bit about what that experience, your healing journey has been as you not only navigated for yourself, but how you are helping your two adorable sons navigate it and be, what do you say, revolutionary by blood and activist by choice, because they're walking around with their Black Lives Matter and they're saying what they need to say in your TikTok videos. Could you talk about what that process has been like for you?
Yeah, it's been a roller coaster. Yeah, I've had some really high highs, some really low lows when it came to that space. I think the number one thing for me, I think I had to recognize again was my sons. So I had to be very deliberate in my thoughts, right, and my behaviors. Because when I was in that dark space, anytime that you're in a dark space, it's easy to go south, right, to go left, to go right, whatever. I think a lot of people think, okay, well, when you're in those dark spaces, that's when you are your true self, and I don't think that that's necessarily true. I think it's a part of who we are. I had to learn how to deal with that. I had to learn how to deal with that. Some people look at it as a failure. I looked at it as a lesson. And so I had to do a lot of, like I said, be deliberate in the way of my thoughts. I had to change a lot of inaccurate thought patterns that I had created myself and that I had been taught. Okay. And so going from this place of, our marriage failed, we had so many things that we could have done better. I had so many things I could have done better. She had so many things she could have done better. People around us should have been there. Going from different spaces like that and taking my own ownership and responsibility and switching it up to, okay, once again, this happened, semicolon. And what I have learned from this experience is A through Z. It wasn't an easy process. It took quite some time. When it got to the place of understanding that it was bigger than me and it was for my sons also, and like I said, when I'm speaking to your children, when you speak to your children, you're speaking to your children's children. How do I want them to be able to reflect back and see how I took this lesson and grew from that? Right? How can I turn this into a learning opportunity, not only for myself, but for others who are going to go through the same things inevitably? How do I take this and allow it to be digestible for my children to understand? Right? Begin to understand, at least anyway, to begin to open doors for conversations to be had, for meaning to be had, for learning to be had, for growth to be had. So I had to be deliberate, and then I had to get inspired. So then I started researching, looking at other individuals who were in similar situations that I was in or that I had been in, and get inspired by those folks as well. And I'm looking at both sides of this, right? I'm looking at the people who took it and went south with it. I'm looking for the people and had upward growth with it. Then it gave me an idea of what I wanted to be, right? And then I had to get going. I'm going to take action. And so for me, taking action really was about starting my private practice. Because now that I had gone through all of these processes and I had, had my journal right with me the whole time, I was able to process those things, articulate my thoughts on it, take my own responsibility for, I have to take ownership for the things that were of me within the relational dynamic. And then part of it was just chalking it up to understanding, like, a lot of this was, we were taught that we needed to be these things by these ages. We needed to have the marriage, the person, the marriage, the house, the car, the kids, the all the things. And that's just not how it really works. It's not really how it goes. And that's not healthy to think in that capacity when it's not of your own fruition and it's not meant to be in that kind of capacity.
So, Anthony, I just want to say this. You saw me shaking my head. That was not the judgmental shake.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
That's the Lord have mercy. I know what you talk. Could you say it a little bit slower so we can all hear what you say? It's the expectations, right? Mm-hmm. Again, the script. Okay, so this is what it means to be married. This is what you're supposed to do. And it's like, yo, first of all, I'm alive. Can we say yay to that? Because I'm not even supposed to be here. Right. And then the marriages I've seen, bless y'all heart, they haven't been the healthiest examples. And so you want me to go in and I'm going to do this. I'm going to play the role, and it's killing me. And it's killing this person. But we're just sitting here smiling. Yeah, we happy. We so happy. Yeah, we got everything, all the trappings. Yeah. And then once we're done, it's like, oh, we got to wake up and do this again.
Yeah.
Right. And it's okay. And just to be clear, and it's not that you don't have love for that person.
Right.
It is not that you can't grow with that person. Is that there's so many things that are ripping at you collectively and individually. And then you're bringing in your abuses. I'm bringing in what I know about abuse. And we're just up here creating this big, nasty, abusive soup.
Toxic.
Right? Just totally toxic. And then we're trying to make it seem like we thriving and everybody, look.
Right.
Because they bought into, they getting their cup of soup too, right?
Yep.
And then all of a sudden you're like, okay, so all of these things happen and death happens and it reminds you of, okay, so you know what? You can drink that soup all you want to.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then what? And you're passing this on to the next generation. And like you said, the generations after, if they decide to have kids, right?
Yep.
And it's like, no. My ancestors are not sitting up here looking like, look at this fool. Right. We did not give everything that we have.
Yeah.
In order for you to sit up here and purposely live an oppressed life. You choose an oppression.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And part of it is you're doing it to yourself. That's what people pleasing is, right?
Yep, absolutely. I love that you say that too, because I look at that and I say, and it sounds bad. However, it's not. It was the best thing that could have happened. I would rather have my kids grow up with 2 sane parents than 2 insane parents any day of the week, right?
Yeah.
And I say that respectfully. You feel me? I say that respectfully. I'm not saying that stigmatizingly at all. I'm saying that in a way that 2 functioning parents that are living their lives independently of themselves and able to parallel parent and understand that we got bigger business to take care of. This did not work, right? For whatever the reasons are, and we can be very communicative and cordial and help and support our kids in this way to make sure that they are successful, that they have healthy lives, that within our responsibility and what we can control, we want to make sure that this is going to happen in the best way, shape, or form as possible. Now, not everybody gets that opportunity, so I am blessed to have that opportunity. Right. I'm blessed to have that opportunity to have, the mother of my kids who is also supportive and things like that. So I recognize that too. the whole process in and of itself was very difficult. And at the same time, there were a lot of really valuable lessons. There was a lot of things that, like, once I saw them, I couldn't unsee them. Same thing with her, right? And so, like, being able to take those life lessons and then go into solitude to have whatever peace that you need to make for yourself throughout that time. I was off. I mean, I was off the grid for 2 years before reemerging last year for a reason, right? For a reason. I came back on the grid, the end of 2019, for a reason, because I didn't need the distractions. I didn't need the distractions. I wanted it to be of my own, right? And like I told you before, I don't do anything on my own. What I meant by that is, like, I need to do it on my own fruition, like go out here and look at these things for myself. I don't want to be told from whatever social media is saying. I don't want to be asked a bajillion questions. Like, no, I can fix that real quick. Delete.
Right.
All of it's gone. I don't need none of it. I almost went to a dumb phone instead of a smartphone. I swear to God, I almost went to a dumb phone.
I did that for different reasons, but yeah, I mean, like old school flip phone.
Straight up, yeah.
Right?
I'm talking, not even that, girl. I'm talking Nokia with Snake on it.
Shut up.
You feel me? Like, you dig? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Let's get me a two-way. You got to page me to get.
Man, not the. Oh, you play too much. So yeah, okay. Now we can get like for real into this stuff, because there is also, you talked about emotional intelligence quotient, right? And there's a level of maturity that has to happen when you decouple, and if you decide to recouple or just no couple, just no couple, just sit here and deal with you and all of the assumptions you had about yourself, your mate, what this marriage, and I always say marriage is an institution. And what do we know about all institutions, at least in this country?
Right.
They're all built on oppression, right? But also, what does it mean to go into this relationship, this building thing, and really not know who you are?
Yeah.
When it comes down to it. And I mean,
or what you want, because what you are building this relationship on is what you've seen and what you think. So my parents had this and this what worked for them. Well, they got married in 1954. I mean, they didn't have TikTok and all this other shit that we're dealing with, and nobody was DMing them, you know. I mean, and you know, I don't know if your mother scrolled through nothing. I mean, you just. And then talking about what does it mean when you feel insecure, and why do you feel insecure, and do you need to feel insecure? And if you feel insecure in a relationship, should you be in that relationship? Maybe you should just go somewhere and sit your ass down. I mean, those are feel for a little bit, yeah.
just you know,
straight up,
get you a puppy, whatever it is. and so, in case somebody, Leo is right over there, my 5-pound Morky. I ain't playing.
There you go.
You know, so when my ex and I parted ways, there was a lot of drama around it, a whole lot, and it wasn't something that was of my choosing.
Yeah.
Because I tend to be a very private person, especially when I'm trying to make sense of stuff. Because I go to my journal first. Let me figure it out. Let me write it out and see what the hell I'm doing and why I did it and why I acted in destructive ways before you go put my business out in the street. And, you know, people have their motives for doing what they do to help them heal or help them keep face or whatever it may be. And it was like, I didn't have the chance to really just sit down and say, okay, why am I? No, I knew, no, I'm lying. I knew why I did what I did. When you are in a place where you self-abandon, where you constantly people please in order to try and hold on to a person. You know, you talked about, you know, your father not being there. My father, not only, he left when I was 4 and then he turned around and died when I was 7. I'm like, so right? And it's that need to, like, I got to feel like I matter. Right? I'm this is the realest I've been, Anthony. See, you're going to be my therapist. But also that level of saying, that level of honesty.
Yeah.
Of saying, I never was ready after my sister died to be in anything that resembles a relationship with another human being.
Yeah. Yeah. Big hurt.
Right. But I did it anyway, because that was my pattern. I mentioned J-Lo, but I didn't have to be alone. I was fine back in the day, right?
Don't trip.
But I mean, dating, I was a serial monogamous. Is that the thing? Or I just made that shit up. But no, it's like, I just like to date. And I had one true love, and I can't say his name because he's married now, and he's my college sweetheart.
Yeah.
But he set the bar, and he showed me what love was.
Mm-hmm.
And then I left him. And it's like, still trying to figure out, what does that mean to be in a relationship with someone other than myself, and to be a partner, and to be a friend, and to be, and I go back to that one relationship. He was my partner, brother, friend, sibling. I mean, we loved each other like siblings. Like, okay, so you said, what about who? Okay, so we're about to fight, because what you don't do is it was that level of care.
Yeah.
But moving forward, I didn't do that. And what does it mean to invest in a relationship? And what does it mean to invest in myself? Mm-hmm. Right. And so now I am given this opportunity to mature. And I'm not saying mature as a woman, because especially as a Black woman, mm-hmm. and being a single mom, I know how to do that. I know how to do that well.
Yeah.
I have models of how to do that well. Right. But I don't have any models on how to have a healthy relationship. I'm just going, and I know I got the family members like, so-and-so been married for 28 years, but they hate each other. When I say they hate each other, they cuss each other out whenever they can. That's not healthy. This woman calls the police on this man every other day. So that's not healthy.
Yeah, those aren't the examples that you want to follow.
And it's not just in my family.
That's everywhere.
That's everywhere, right? And thinking about, okay, so is there anything that could have helped that situation or that relationship? Yes, no, maybe so. And if and when I decide to do this again, what the heck do I need to be doing for myself before I step forward? Because we're not doing this again.
Yeah.
This is where me and J-Lo part ways, because I can't understand like 3, 4, 5 times. Hell to the no. No. And then with kids.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm a germaphobe anyway, so ain't no dating going on during the pandemic. Don't even touch my apples. Okay. just don't touch my produce when we're in the store, right? But no. And then when you have kids, it's like, okay, so you have to be at some other earthly level to even meet this here child.
Yep.
No. Right?
Yep.
So you laughing a little too hard. What is he?
Nah, you're right though. And that's that part. Like, that's like I was saying, it's beyond us. It's so bigger than us. When I'm thinking and considering about a person, I'm looking at all the things, It's interesting because some people are like, you're picky, or you're picky, or there's two things: they're picky, or they say I may move too fast. It's like, I know what I want. I know the type of person that I want. So if I find that, and what does moving too fast look like? I'm gonna ask you the list. I have a whole.
You got a list. You're like pulling out like
Well, you feel me? Like, we therapists, this is how we roll. Like, I already know what I'm going to ask you, and I already know what the tree diagram looks like based on whatever your answers are going to be. So if you start hitting these different tree diagrams, you better believe another question's coming, and I'm not going to be like back to back. I'm very strategic in the way that I'm going to ask these questions because I got to know. I got to know because there's no way you're going to meet them. No way you're going to meet them. There's already a time requirement that must pass before we get
trying
there.
to figure out. Okay, so how much time should it be? Like 2 years, right? No.
Like you think about it. You really, those are the things that I think about that comes across my mind when I'm having these conversations or when I'm dating somebody and I'm talking to them and it's like, oh, you're moving too fast. It's like, I'm not moving too fast. I need to know these answers. Like,
you're deliberate.
I'm very deliberate and I'm very intentional. So what it might seem like I'm moving fast, what I'm really doing is getting to the bottom line. I need to know what the bottom line of who this individual is. And some of that stuff has to organically happen through time, space. I get that. Proximity, and you just noticing some things like she pick a wedgie out every 5 minutes. There's something's happening right now. And she didn't wash her hands. She scratched her head. Nah, I can't. Right? Like, so there's some things that you got to witness. You can't just ask a question. So
you make me sick.
For real though, and it's like it's not to be. When it comes to my kids, like I play no games.
Yeah,
I play zero games when it comes to my kids. There's only been one person who has ever met my kids. And so, and that afterwards did not work out, which made me regret that. However, I don't regret it. I learned from it. And that was a long period of time before that piece happened. Right. So there's even things within that when people will tell you I'm ready and then they are not ready. And once you experience it, then you're like, okay. However, I can't chalk that up to and generalize that to all people. I have to understand that was that individual person's experience, right? And what ended up happening. We had a very long conversation. You better believe I was like, we got to debrief about this.
Yeah.
And those kinds of spaces that get created for healing, especially for individuals like us as single parents. And we're bomb.com single parents. I don't brag about anything in the world, but I know that I'm a bomb.com father. I know that for sure. Like without a shadow of a doubt. Nobody got to tell me, and if anybody tried to tell me otherwise, prove it. So I ain't got nothing, you know what I mean? But yeah, absolutely. Those questions about our kids and like understanding, are we ready to be in a space where we're ready to share that? Right? Are we really, because my boys will forever be my babies. And if you hurt them, you'll never hurt them physically. I'll never let
you do right by me. I mean, right? No, man. No.
So I appreciate you saying that.
So I love what you said about, just owning the fact that you are the bomb.com parent. Mm-hmm. I'm like the bomb.com-ish. I'm still working on it. I'm having to rebuild my relationship with my daughter.
Okay.
Because this was traumatic, for lack of a better word, her whole life, and what does that mean for her to now have these two parents who we be trying. Mm-hmm. And then it's just like something, it's like a flare up. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you had that in the early stages of your divorce. It's like, okay,
absolutely.
Well, we doing all right. We communicating all right. And then all of a sudden something happened. It's like, okay, well, you know what? I'm about to text you the longest hateful text. I'm about to block you. And then I had to learn the importance of boundaries, right?
Yeah.
Boundaries for both of us in order for us to have some semblance of, like you said, sanity and mm-hmm. calm. Mm-hmm. Until we can get to a place where we can have what you were just talking about a bit ago around, like shifting these spaces to be like healing conversations in space. We're not quite there yet. We're getting there. Hopefully before our daughter turns 18. She's 11.
And maybe not. It takes you.
No, don't say that, man. Don't. That's
All I'm saying is be okay with the journey and don't try to dictate it. Just be okay
no.
with it organically happening. It's gonna happen when it
Before
needs to
she's
happen.
18.
It's gonna happen when it needs to happen. It's not on our time. We just need to do what we need to do.
Okay.
Control the other people. Can't control all the pieces. It's just ours that we got control of.
Okay. Well, I'm trying to control the hell out of my pieces. Because it was my broken pieces that even had me select this person and not listen to the quiet voice that said, you know what, this is not the person. You need to go on about your business. Right. And not allowing him the opportunity to be with the person he was meant to be with. It wasn't me. Right. But again, because someone else's vision, because of everything else, like, okay, I guess we're gonna move forward. But again, learning from all of that. And this is not to have any disparaging words, and I might even cut this out. It depends. I don't know.
Yeah, you good.
Real. But thinking about as we move forward, what is like the most important question we need to ask ourselves? Not just, okay, is this person worthy of meeting our offspring? Right? Because you, again, like you said, it's like you do not, you cannot see the odds. Nobody not know how. No entry. No, you can't. There's no seeing it.
Yeah.
No seeing but also, what is it that I need to ask myself? Not just is this person the one? The one? No, am I the one?
Right.
Am I ready? Yeah. Am I healed? Yeah. Does healing feel like, look like, sound like? Do I even know what it looks like? I mean, do you have like you said you had a list of what you were looking for in the other person, but what are some of the questions that you ask yourself to process through? It's like, okay, am I ready to engage? It's like, okay, do I need to lean back a little? I mean,
absolutely.
Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, a lot of that is, I worked through a lot of it. However, I was always very insecure, right? Just growing up and all the things. So I always ask myself, like, are any of my red flags popping up for me? Like, I'm very honest with my own red flags. And I think that's like super important in my healing, is that I recognize, am I projecting onto somebody? Like, okay, why am I projecting onto them? Why did that conversation just go like that? And why did I feel a need to defend myself? Okay, does that mean that I'm ready? Does this mean that I need to take a step back? Where are some of my shadow sides I need to go into? Like looking at the shadow work, looking at where these insecurities are popping up for and why. Really a lot, like I said before, owning what's mine. Like I got to own what's mine before I can try to be integrated with somebody else's. Because if I can't do that with me, then I'm not ready. And I have to keep it 1,000. I think a big part of that is when you feel like you're ready, you go out there and test it out and you see when you're engaged with somebody, if you're still getting signals from other individuals, you're probably not ready. There's probably something inside of you that's making you feel that way, right? Like if you're still feeling that way, well, then maybe we need to step back because I'm not ready to be in a relationship. Maybe I want to date and just see what's out there, see what I like. I did a lot of dating to understand what I liked and didn't like, but it also taught me a lot about what I know and how I come to the table in relationships, what I bring to the table in relationships, what I need to bring to the table in relationships, what I don't need to bring to the table in relationships. So when those things start to show up, I have to check myself. You know, like I know right now, for instance, I know that where I am, I'm not in a space to be in a relationship because I have way too many things that I want to accomplish within myself already.
Say it.
You feel me? And so I know that if I have a partner, that she's not going to be fulfilled because I'm not emotionally or intellectually available for her right now. I got other things that I'm worried about, not even worried about, other things that I am trying to accomplish on my journey right now.
Right.
That can't be shared. That space can't be shared at this moment.
Right. Right.
maybe 6 months, a year from now, maybe. But right now, like it would have to be super friend level. You feel me? And like we learn and grow with each other in that capacity before we step into anything. Now, if organically that just happens and rolls, bet that was meant to be anyway. Then, if it
Right.
came from
Right.
space, because of that foundational element of being friends and da 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 da. So yeah, I don't know if I exactly answered the question. However, some of the things that I look for, a big piece of what I ask myself is like, how am I reacting? How am I reacting and responding to what's happening around me right now? That's going to give me an
Mm,
indicator on if I'm ready or not.
okay.
Like I said earlier, a reaction is a reflex. A response is very intentional. Right?
Right.
And it lets me know red flag. Hold up.
I'm writing this down. I hope you. When I say I'm taking notes, I'm like for real. I'm not even kidding because it's a whole new world for me right now. And even talking about dating, one of my sister friends, she also survived divorce, and she's dating now. I'm like, girl, how you dating during a pandemic? She's like, no, there's ways. I'm like, there's no way. And I keep saying, I keep talking about how God has blessed me with this gift of a pandemic. And this is not to make light for anyone who lost loved ones during this pandemic, this horrible disease, and just jobs, etc. I'm saying for me personally.
Yeah.
Because again, as the serial dater, or it's like I need to be in a relationship to matter. It's like, well, no, you're not, because you're a bit of a germaphobe. So what you're not going to do is you're not going to be going out with anybody because you don't want to bring anything to your daughter. So you're going to sit here for the next 3 years. And I say 3 because we started the process.
I was wondering.
Yeah. You're like, is that some Common Core math? What are you doing? How you counting? No, but really thinking about even just the whole. And I'm borrowing from a girlfriend, Jill Scott. Have you listened to her podcast, J.Ill?
Hell yeah.
No, they be putting everything in there. But talking about like the celibacy journey, even before, the divorce stuff, it'll be 4 years in December. And, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Right. And being able to just be clear about things. This level of, you talked about intentionality.
Yep.
And clarity. And calm.
Mm-hmm.
There's no expectations. There's no nothing. You can't even come. No, don't send me no DM. Don't send me no text. And no. Right. And that gives me time to deal with my shit.
Yep.
And ain't nobody else here. Me, my daughter is in Massachusetts now, and a dog.
Right.
And just being able to sit and ask those questions.
Yeah. And be real.
And be very real. Like, girl, you ain't got no reason to sit up here and lie. It's just you.
It's just me. It's just me. It's just us.
It's just me and the dog, right?
Yeah.
But really thinking about how do we best utilize those moments and not be scared by them?
Yeah.
Because when you are not at that level of maturity, being alone can be scary as hell.
Absolutely.
And then let's add the other piece to it. There's the stigma, right?
Yep.
It's like, okay, you're a person of a certain age, or you look like this. Well, you should have all the. I'm sure you get it. Like, you should have all the. It's like, okay, so yeah, but no.
Yeah.
Right. Not on the journey that I'm on.
Yep. We got 2 different values.
Help me. Right.
Yep.
And thinking about how do we support our next generation in them seeing value in us, sort of holding the line and not feeling sorry for us. My daughter, she's so cute. She's like, I don't want you to be, alone forever. No, girl, it ain't even been that long.
Yeah.
Can I have a timeout? But we're going to be all right. And that's the goal. we're going to be all right.
Yep. Kendrick Lamar all day.
Right?
Yep.
Compton.
Hey.
But going back to where we started around how do we take care of ourselves when there's so much coming against us that doesn't want us to be all right?
Mm-hmm.
How do we do that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's difficult. That's difficult. We got to start being okay with saying no. First and foremost, we got to start being okay with saying no. There's so many things that everybody wants us to say.
No.
Right?
Do you have different ways of saying no? I actually wrote some down in my journal because I don't know how to say
no with a yes all the time. All the time.
What?
All the time.
Hit me with it.
I give you one for the kids. Can I go outside and play? Yeah, after you do your homework. Okay. So it's a no because I don't want them to go outside at this moment and I know they got things to take care of. Yeah, you can go outside after you do with your homework. Okay, cool. Friends want to ask me to go out or, do something or link up or whatever. Yeah, next week, right? Or like I'm putting it in the distant future. Hey, you want to roll with us to this comedy club? Yeah. Give me a couple weeks to get everything settled with work. Hey, you want to go grab a drink at the bar? Yeah, I'm down to grab one at the crib,
Okay.
So I say no with yeses all the time. And it's super powerful for me because I get to be me. I don't have to subject myself to like just conforming to what the norm is. And I'm okay with that. I had a conversation with some of my boys the other week and basically let them know like, yo, I've been MIA. I hope y'all are not offended. It has nothing to do with y'all. It has everything to do with me trying to, stay in my lane and get what I have to get done. I'm trying to get these goals accomplished. Like Pac said, never ignorant, getting goals accomplished. So let me, I hope y'all ain't offended by this. And they're like, nah, bro, like we proud of you. We're happy. We're happy that you're doing that. Like, cool. Thank you. And I continue on my journey peacefully. So there's tons of ways that you can do that, and yes is a good way to really counter a no.
Okay. I'm going to try that one. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because first of all, let's acknowledge as a man, as a Black man, to be able to say, okay, no.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost expected. I mean,
right.
Sort of.
Right.
Sort of, right? And one of the conversations that me and my crew said, like, have you been taught to say no?
Right.
Have you been taught to honor your no?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because we'll say no and then go back and, okay, well, you know what? Let me see if I can make that work for you.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the people pleasing. And then I'm using that voice because that's me, right? That's me. Well, but now it's like, okay, I'm going to sit with this no and it's going to bother me and it's going to eat at me, but I need to say no. This is not okay.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. Yeah.
Even in parenting. People pleasing parents, people pleasing and parenting is just not a good look. I know I'm speaking from experience.
I got a hard time with that one. Oh, it's hard. It's hard. And I see it. I've experienced it. It's difficult because just be you, and everyone else will adjust. Like, just be you.
And what did you say in one of the videos? And if they don't, who cares?
Oh, well,
right?
Not my monkeys no more.
Right. Right.
At that point, and that's difficult for some people to digest. Especially, I especially know what that's like because I was a huge people pleaser for a long time because I was afraid to be alone. I was, like I told you, I had this self-esteem. I have super, super duper low self-esteem, really self-conscious. And so I needed to be liked by people to know that I was worth something. So part of that would mean I needed to listen to whatever this person was saying so that they understood that I'm listening and that I'm a friend of yours. Like, right? Like, that's not, we can be homies and I can disagree with you.
Right.
And I had to learn how to do that. Like, I tell you, grad school and that second awakening, like it taught me so many things that I would never have learned otherwise, or been open-minded to learning otherwise, I should say. And so the people pleasing, it stopped. And there's still moments of it that show up and I'm vulnerable to it, right? Especially being a single father, and wanting more than anything to make sure that my sons have the opportunity to witness their father experiencing love and via getting love and giving love. Right. I think that's very important. For them to see that, just as you talked about, these proper models, right?
Right.
And there's no one source for that. So the people pleasing sometimes would show up and still, I would still be vulnerable to that, and I would be under its spell. And then having to snap out of that is very difficult. And then it puts you back in this place, this whole thought process and stuff like that. That's part of the healing journey, though. It's all part of the healing journey. Healing is a forever journey. It's not something that has an end date. It doesn't have a beginning date either, because we were healing before we even knew we were wounded. And we have to remember that, you know?
I'm about to write that down. You just comment around. I'm right about that. Okay. All right. So, given what you just said, we were healing before we even knew we were wounded.
We even knew we were wounded.
Given that, could you, or not could you, what would you like to tell our next generation leaders as far as understanding what it means to heal, regardless of your journey, whether your journey includes, graduate school or surviving tumult in your family or whatever it may be, surviving now?
Right.
What would you like to say to them?
I think a big piece of that is understanding everybody has a story and everybody has multiple additions to that story. And we need to learn how to listen to those stories and just sit with them, not judge them, not give them feedback. We just need to learn to sit and witness those stories. I know that people are always changing, and that gives me hope, right? When I look at the events that, perpetuated historically in communities of color, I think about things like the reignition of the BLM movement, for instance. I think about how everybody was together screaming Black Lives Matter for the first time in history ever, everybody all together. I think about how some of the change came from that. And I think about the awareness is change. So we have to have awareness within that hope. We have to be able to sit within hard conversations. We have to be able to accept that just because people aren't going about their adventures the way that we would, that it's okay for them to do that. Because once we realize how different we are and how similar we are, there's a lot of opportunity for growth in that on both sides of that. And it's a spectrum, really. It's a spectrum. There's a lot of opportunity for growth in that. We should always be promoting growth. And our leaders need to always be in a space. As hard as a task as that is to ask of leaders, we should always situate ourselves in a way where we create space for growth. And we create safe spaces for conversations that lead to growth, right? And understanding, better understandings. Yeah, I want to thank you because it's been probably about 14 years since I've spoken any of my poetry out loud.
What?
Yeah. I used to do open mics and stuff like this when I was going to school up in Northern California. And I had somebody who judged a piece that I wrote because of the way that the word that I used to rhyme with one of the words wasn't like, if you wrote it down phonetically, it wouldn't be a rhyming word. However, you know how we roll. We know how, we got rhythm. So we know how to tweak it so that we can mold it into a rhyming word for another reason. The way that you accented, etc. And after that, I stopped speaking out loud. I only kept it in my books and in my head. So you are the first person that I've ever spoken in that 14 years out loud in a public space.
What? More than metaphors, family? Did you hear that? Y'all should feel all kinds of special. 14 years?
It's been 14 years. Yeah.
Man. Maybe. And that person, whoever that person is, had that much of a hold.
You can see that self-esteem. You can see, like I was telling you about that people pleasing, that self-esteem. Like that's a a great metaphor in and of itself of how powerful it was for me and like the influences around me and how much of an impact that they had on my life. Yeah.
Well, I'm so glad that that judgment no
Mhm.
longer has a hold on you and you are able to create these spaces, these loving spaces where people can come and heal and learn and grow.
Yeah. I appreciate that. And I appreciate you creating a space like that for people to learn, heal, and grow alike.
Yeah, man, I'm trying. I'm
Oh, you doing
trying.
it. Be like Nike. Keep doing it.
I'm trying. But Anthony Parham, I thank you so much for sharing with us that, especially for you, that your words, the power of your words, are so much more than metaphors, man. I hope today's episode was helpful. I'd love to hear from you, hear about what you think, hear about what other questions are coming to your mind. Feel free to send me a message at anchor.fm/mtmetaphors/message. I look forward to connecting with you in our next episode. And until then, keep learning, keep thriving, keep moving towards liberation, and remember that our words, the power of our words, are so much more than metaphors. Talk to you soon.